So what we're going to talk about specifically today is if somebody calls me and says, hey, Michelle, I really want to ramp up my Instagram presence. How many followers do I need? How do I get more followers? All of the things. So when somebody calls me and says, hey, I want to ramp up my Instagram presence, Michelle, can you help me with that? Can you help me get more followers? Can you help me do it? I tell them point blank, I think you're asking the wrong question. And so for me personally, that's something that not only do I teach it, not only do I preach it, but I walk it, right? And for me, the reason this conversation is so prevalent right now is specifically around something that I think we've all experienced on Instagram. And it's that DM that we get from people that say, hey, I can help you grow your presence, or hey, if you want 1,000 followers, you can pay $20 or $30, or 1K equals this many, 5K equals this much. And it's kind of these standard DMs that seem to get thrown around, right? So I get them almost every day. And in my opinion, it's honestly why we should never compare our social media success to somebody else's Instagram account. So we should never look at our Instagram account and then compare it to somebody else's and be like, oh, well, that person has more followers, so that means they're doing better than I am, right? What you really need to remember is that the number of people actually interested in what you're doing compared to, in this case, we're talking to mortgage professionals and real estate agents, right? Compared to, let's say, personal development or leadership or fitness or traveling. They're different. They're different audiences, the different ideal clients, right? We all have different people that need to see our content and are really seeking our content. So we need to think about how can we serve our pool of people when we're determining how to grow our following and who we should be growing with. So 30 views from your ideal client or from the perfect audience for you and for your business is worth, in my opinion, way more than 100,000 views from a bunch of people in the fitness industry, right? Or from a bunch of people in industries that have nothing to do with what you're trying to actually attract from or the audience you're trying to attract from. So remember that the ratio in this case doesn't really matter, right? We're not trying to seek those people. We're not actively looking to engage with those people because they're not the people that we know are going to want to hire us or need to hire us. So obviously, I think this is a misconception, right? People think that more followers equates to more business, but the reality is you don't need 100K. You don't need 5K views. You need one, right, to be able to create conversion. So you need views and you need followers from your ideal audience, and you also need it from them at the right time. So that's a really big piece to this. The people that are consuming your content need to be consuming it at the right time for them. And what that means is that we as content creators have to be producing content consistently and compoundingly, if you will, so that when that piece of content goes out, it hits, it resonates, it lands the way that it's supposed to land for the person. Now, it may land for a certain person today. That same person who it didn't land with today, it may land with them a month from now. It may be the way you say something. It may be a specific type of post you put out. Right? But what a lot of people don't think about is something that they posted a month ago. Why can't you reuse it? Why can't you post it again 2, 3, 4, 6 months down the line? Because you don't know who it might hit then, right? And I think repurposing, reusing content to match the timeline of things going on in the industry, the timeline of things going on for you personally in your career, it is so important. And there's lots of tangents. But what I really want people to hear is it's not about how many, it's about who. And there was a recent report published about the millennial buyer and how they don't look at follower count in order to trust the source. To them, it doesn't create more credibility. It doesn't equate to this person is more credible. So for them, the reason they think that way or the reason why that might hit that way is because that ideal audience, that millennial buyer, knows that this follower or buying likes and followers and views and all of that exists, right? It's this thing that's out there that everybody seems to be doing. So they don't look at the follower count. They don't look at how many likes you get, how many views you get, and they don't decide based off of that number or that metric that that's how somebody or why somebody would be worth hiring. So it's really a big deal to talk about. The people who are consuming our Instagrams these days, they don't care about those things, the things that we as content creators often think that they do. So that's why it's really important to have this conversation. So this very tactic, in my opinion, honestly could hurt you heavily if you're not careful. So instead of appearing like a big deal, I'm going to leave you with this thought on this particular portion. Instead of appearing like a big deal because we assume that more followers, more views, more likes makes us look like a bigger deal, why don't we just be a bigger deal to the right people? And that's really another piece to the conversation is who are the right people for you? Who are the people that you actually need to be speaking to and that you actually need to be serving? And can you create content for them? Are you creating content for them? Or are you creating content to feed that ego word, aka ego, right? So what we need to do is we need to remove the ego from our minds. We need to remove the attachment to vanity metrics like likes, followers, views, all of the things. And we need to replace it with this go phrase, right? So ego is ego. If we take the E out, it leaves us with just go. It means go, right? So just go and just produce content. And get yourself out there. And if you're worried about how you look, if you're worried about how you sound, if you're worried about the fact that your hair's not done, let me be the first to tell you, I didn't do my hair today. This is a day old straightened hair. I don't care, right? Because what I know is that what I have to offer and the conversations I have to have or the things that need to be said, the person that's consuming it, they don't care about that. They're not looking at it and saying, man, Michelle didn't do her hair today, or Michelle needs more coffee. Maybe she's not energized enough. I promise you I've had plenty of coffee today, but my point is that that's not why they're there. That's not what they're there for. So we need to, instead of feeding our ego and making sure it feels perfect, making sure it looks perfect, let's just go, let's just do it, right? And be focused on the things that really, really matter.